The moon landing on July 20, 1969, was a historic achievement for humankind. However, the last manned mission to the moon was conducted in 1972, and since then, no human has returned to the lunar surface. The question arises, why did we stop going to the moon? Several factors contributed to the cessation of the moon landing program. One of the primary reasons for discontinuing the moon landing program was the cost. The Apollo program was an incredibly expensive undertaking, with an estimated cost of $25 billion in 1973, which translates to approximately $153 billion in 2023. The cost was a significant concern, and as the Vietnam War continued, the U.S. government began to reduce funding for NASA. The government argued that the money could be better spent on other social programs. Another factor that led to the discontinuation of the moon landing program was the lack of public interest. By the early 1970s, the public had grown tired of the space program. The missions to the moon had lost their novelty, and people were no longer as excited about the idea of sending humans to the moon. Additionally, the scientific community had begun to question the scientific value of continued moon missions, as many of the objectives had been achieved by previous missions. The shift in national priorities also played a role in the discontinuation of the moon landing program. The United States was facing significant challenges on several fronts, including the oil crisis, the Cold War, and the ongoing Vietnam War. These issues required a significant amount of resources, and many politicians argued that the money spent on the space program could be better utilized to address these pressing issues. Finally, technical difficulties also contributed to the cessation of the moon landing program. While the Apollo program was successful in landing humans on the moon, the program faced several technical challenges, including a near-fatal accident on Apollo 13. Addressing these issues required significant investments in research and development, which would have further increased the cost of the program. In conclusion, several factors contributed to the discontinuation of the moon landing program. The cost, lack of public interest, shift in national priorities, and technical difficulties all played a role in ending the program. While there have been discussions about returning to the moon in recent years, it remains to be seen whether or not humans will return to the lunar surface in the near future. Since the end of the Apollo program, there have been several attempts to return to the moon, but none have succeeded in landing humans on the lunar surface. In the 1990s, NASA proposed the Constellation program, which aimed to return humans to the moon by 2020. However, the program was cancelled in 2010 due to budget constraints. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in returning to the moon, particularly among private companies such as SpaceX and Blue Origin. These companies are developing their own spacecraft and launch vehicles to send humans and cargo to the moon. NASA has also announced its plans to return to the moon through its Artemis program, which aims to land the first woman and the next man on the lunar surface by 2024. The Artemis program aims to establish a sustainable human presence on the moon and develop technologies and capabilities that will enable human exploration of Mars and other deep space destinations. The program has received bipartisan support from Congress, and NASA has been working closely with industry partners to develop the necessary hardware and infrastructure. Despite these efforts, the future of human exploration of the moon remains uncertain. The success of the Artemis program will depend on sustained political support and funding, as well as overcoming technical challenges such as radiation exposure, landing accuracy, and resource utilization. In conclusion, the decision to end the moon landing program in the 1970s was driven by a combination of factors, including cost, public interest, national priorities, and technical difficulties. While there have been attempts to return to the moon in recent years, the future of human exploration of the lunar surface remains uncertain. Nevertheless, the Artemis program represents a new chapter in human space exploration and holds the potential to unlock new discoveries and advancements in science and technology.